The table was already crowded before anyone sat down. Not with people, there were only 7 of us, but with habits. The way my mother lined up the placemats as if symmetry could prevent conflict. The way my sister took the chair at the head without asking, even though it wasn't her house. The way my son folded himself inward, elbows tight, like he was bracing for weather. Dinner at my place had become routine since my sister and her kids move in temporarily. That word had stretched itself thin over months. Groceries doubled. Noise tripled. I learned how to cook in quantities that suggested permanence without anyone naming it. That night, I remember thinking only about getting through it smoothly. School had been rough for my son. He'd been quiet all afternoon, that specific quiet that means something lodged but unspoken. I wanted the evening to pass without friction. Then my sister laughed. It was a sharp sound, confident, timed perfectly after her own comment. "Some kids are just born behind," she said, eyes flicking toward my son as if she were pointing with an elbow. "You know, they just never catch up." She laughed again, louder this time, inviting the room to join her. My son didn't react right away. He stared at his plate, at the ranged into small piles, as if numbers might behave better than people. I felt the old reflex surge, fast and familiar. The urge to smooth, to translate, to tell myself she didn't mean it like that. To rescue everyone from discomfort by absorbing it myself. That reflex had been trained early. In our family, jokes landed where they landed. If they bruised you, the fix was simple: develop thicker skin. Silence had always been the tax for belonging. I opened my mouth to say something soft, something useless. What came out instead surprised me. "Behind," I said, calmly. "Like how you and your kids are still living in my house, and eating my groceries." The fork paused halfway to my sister's mouth. She froze, not theatrically, not in outrage. Just still, as if her body hadn't yet been informed that the rules had changed. The laughter died immediately. It didn't taper. It stopped. My mother leaned toward me, her voice barely audible. "Please don't do this." She didn't mean don't be cruel, she meant don't disrupt the arrangement. Don't make things awkward. Don't refuse your role. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't repeat myself. I just sat there, hand resting on the table, heart thudding with a steadiness I didn't expect. My sister recovered first. She scoffed, pushed her chair back an inch. "Wow. Okay. Guess we're doing this now." No one answered her. That silence was new. Not the old silence that covered harm. But a different kind, the kind that arrives after something true has been said aloud and the room hasn't figured out how to swallow it yet. My son looked up at me then. Just once. His eyes were wide, not scared, curious. Like he was checking whether what he'd heard was real. Dinner continued in fragments. Someone asked for salt. One of my sister's kids complained about the chicken. The rhythms were off, like a song played half a beat too slow. My sister didn't say another word to me. That was her move. Withdrawal dressed up as dignity. She'd retreat and let discomfort do the punishing. After the plates were cleared, she gathered her kids and disappeared into the guest room they'd occupied for far too long. The door shut harder than necessary. My mother stayed behind to help me stack dishes, her hands moving with the anxious efficiency of someone trying to restore order. "You didn't have to say it like that," she said. "I did," I replied. My voice didn't shake. That was the strangest part. She sighed. She was joking. "No," I said. She was practicing. My mother didn't respond. She rinsed a plate that was already clean. Later that night, after the house settled into its uneven quiet, my son knocked on my bedroom door. He stood there in socks, shoulders hunched, unsure of his own question. "Was she talking about me?" he asked. I considered all the ways adults lie to children out of convenience. All the ways honesty can be softened into nothing. "Yes," I said. "She was." He nodded, absorbing it. "Then, you didn't let her?" "No," I said again. He thought about that. Then shrugged in the way kids do when something important lands but they don't yet have language for it. "Okay," he said, and went back to his room. I sat on my bed for a long time after that, listening to the house breathe. The dishwasher hummed. Someone laughed quietly behind a closed door. Life continuing. The next morning, my sister confronted me in the kitchen. Her tone was brittle, rehearsed. "You embarrassed me," she said. I poured coffee. "You insulted my son." "It was a joke. It wasn't funny." She waited for me to soften. I didn't. "You don't get to talk to him like that," I added. "Not in my house." There it was. The external fact she couldn't argue with. Not morality, not intention. Reality. She opened her mouth, closed it, tried a different angle. So what? You're threatening to kick us out now. I met her eyes. I'm saying this arrangement depends on respect. That's not negotiable. She stared at me as if seeing me for the first time. Not as a sibling who would bend. Not as a buffer. As the person who owned the space she occupied. She left the kitchen without another word. Things didn't resolve neatly after that. My sister sulked. My mother oscillated between quiet approval and visible discomfort. The house felt tense for weeks, but something else changed too. The comments stopped, not just about my son, about everything. No more jokes with edges. No more casual assessments of who was failing at what. The air adjusted. Eventually my sister found another place, not dramatically. Not angrily, she framed it as her choice. I didn't correct her. On her last night, she hugged my son stiffly. No hard feelings, she said. He nodded politely. That was enough. After they left, the house felt larger. Quieter. Not happier, exactly, just clearer. I understood then that I hadn't won anything. I'd lost some comfort. Some approval. The illusion of ease. What I gained was smaller. Steadier. A table where silence no longer sat in the place of dignity. And a child who learned. Not from a lecture but from a moment. That protection doesn't always sound like shouting. Sometimes it sounds like someone finally saying that everyone else trained you never to say. And staying seated afterward.